going on, everybody? This is Lady Luck here again. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Candace Owens has posted a video regarding the death of Charlie Kirk and some memories that they shared, their friendship, and of course, her days working with him with Turning Point. So I want to share that with you guys and just kind of, highlight some of the things that I think is just important to note. And yes, I actually saw her, cry towards the end of this, and it's refreshing just to see beyond, whatever content we as content creators cover on our channels and our platforms, just to see that humane side. Um, and I can't imagine what she's going through or anything. I just want to highlight, the um, I guess the tribute she paid and kind of touch on that. So if you guys can, make sure you please hit the like button and share the video and subscribe to the Lady Luck Club. We are growing here, and I am very excited about the growth, and God is blessing this platform and moving it forward and branching it out, and it is an absolute blessing. So I want to thank all of you guys for the support. Shout out to all of the mods and supporters and members here in the LLC. And at the end of the video, I will be giving some information on how to uh, purchase some of the products that we're in partnership with regarding Dr. Squatch. So let's get to it. I want to just kind of go to right to her video, and we're going to check this out. Make sure you guys, check out her channel, and you can watch the full video on her channel. I will have the link to the video in the description. Let's get to it.
Well, that has never happened before. I guess we could say Charlie broke the internet one more time. 150,000 of you guys were watching, and the system just sort of crashed. And it just really makes me happy that that happened, actually. It was already very difficult for me to do this for a lot of reasons, but I knew it was important because I didn't want the last thing that people had in their minds about Charlie to be the moment he lost his life. That was what was especially hard, because he's just had so many amazing moments throughout his career. And as I was saying, I was having this discussion with George this morning, obviously through a lot of tears, about not wanting Charlie's caricature to survive when the actual Charlie Kirk individual, who Charlie Kirk actually is so much more important. The caricature, the cartoon, is that Charlie's this young, smart guy, made a career out of debating college kids, decided not to go to college, started Turning Point USA. And I think a lot of people thought that Charlie must take himself a bit too seriously. And I want you guys to know that that could not be further from the truth. Charlie and me were always laughing. Yes, he was ambitious. Everybody knows Charlie is ambitious. I met him back in 2017 when Turning Point was this very young organization. Nobody knew who I was. Nobody knew who Charlie Kirk was. And Charlie was always wearing these really baggy suits. I mean, they looked like they were hand-me-downs from 3 generations, because he was focused on the ideas. He didn't care about his appearance. He was laser focused on what he knew Turning Point could become. Not could become, but would become. He hired me on the spot. We were at this conference in Florida. And he and I used to always say, we never said the rest was history.
Okay, I always wondered about that, because I wasn't sure if she was the co-founder or not. Okay, but he hired her on, so it sounds like in essence she worked for him. So I was always confused by that. I mean, I didn't follow Charlie Kirk or anything like that, so I wasn't sure exactly what the work relationship was, the hierarchy. But she just said he hired her on the spot. So, all right, let's continue.
The rest is history. We say the rest is future. We were totally locked in, and I want you guys to know about our first planning sesh. Okay, it was in the middle of Chicago O'Hare Airport. There is this restaurant that's called the Macaroni Grill, and I sat down with Charlie on our first trip together. He flips over this little paper menu as we're waiting for our flight, and he takes out this pen and he just starts drawing a map of what he wants to happen into the future, what the Turning Point organization will become. It was spastic. It was unhinged. It was the absolute best. It was true Charlie. He was a visionary. Charlie was a visionary. The politics, Charlie needed a little bit more culture. I needed to learn the rules of politics. I mean, he could tell you every office in the White House and what this person does, things I'd never even heard before. I was just passionate about Black Lives Matter. I knew it was going to be harmful for Black Americans, and I wanted to share that message. And Charlie showed me how to do that in the best way possible. I learned very quickly with Charlie that politics breeds unnecessary enemies. It is incredibly, it's disheartening industry. You're lucky if you have one friend. You're lucky if you have two friends. There are so many people that will test your character along the way. Like I said, I was a nobody. It was funny going through text messages yesterday, and I'm like, Charlie, my goal is to have 50,000 followers on Instagram. I think we can do it by the end of the year. And after he hired me, he had been working already really hard on doing this campus tour throughout California. He called it the Big Three: UCLA, we're going to do Stanford, we're going to do Berkeley. And there was somebody who was a lot bigger than me at the time who was going to be kind of the face of it, because like I said, people were not going to buy tickets to hear me and Charlie Kirk speak. And he had someone that they definitely would hear speak. And for whatever reason, and this was just my luck, Charlie was pumping gas.
Who was I'm curious to know who that person was. And I think she made an important point to note regarding, establishing friends in politics. I think the issue is that, we're so polarized and divided. When it comes to sharing our ideas and thoughts and opinions about the politics, about elections, about just basic fundamentals here, that we have the right to enjoy, as part of our First Amendment rights regarding voting, and of course having just the opportunity to demand that any individual that's running for an elected position have to present platforms. They need to be able to debate. They need to be able to share with their constituents their ideas on how they're going to bring about change that will improve the quality of our lives here in the U.S. as Americans and as citizens. And so if the idea of just simply trying to get information about a particular individual running for for, let's say, senator or congressman, it shouldn't matter if they're Democrat or Republican. What is the end goal of how you're going to improve the quality of life for the average individual? How are you going to ensure that gas prices are affordable, that groceries are affordable, that towns and roads and bridges are improved, education, increasing minimum wage so that people can have livable wages? How do you tackle the core issues that you can find to be common across any state in the US? And when you stick to the main issues at hand and you demand that these candidates give you a platform, that they provide you an outline or plan, and that they're truly listening and taking heed to what the constituents want, whether you're a Republican or Democrat, it should be irrelevant. It should come down to, here's the goal, here are some numbers and the realistic financials on how this can be done effectively, and here's how we can put money back into the pockets of our constituents, or to decrease the taxes that the average person is paying. That those are the core issues that you can find in common, regardless of you being an independent or a Republican or a Democrat or the libertarian or federalist. You can go all the way back to 300-400 years ago, and those same issues are still a concern, no matter what candidate you're dealing with, no matter what political party you're affiliated with. Those should be the main concerns that we have in common. And it's unfortunate if you can't forge friendships over common issues and concerns that you want resolved, that you want your representatives and your leadership that you elect to actually lay out a plan or, some sort of goal or outline on how they're going to resolve those issues that we all share across the aisle. If you take away the construct of political parties, what you're left with are regular people wanting resolutions that are realistic to be put into effect, that would not cost them a whole lot of tax dollars. That's what you want. So it's sad that you can't have friends, and still, if you weigh in heavy on politics, um, it's sad that you can't forge friendships, because it comes down to where it's polarizing and it becomes divisive, and now it's becoming dangerous. And the killer that um, assassinated Charlie Kirk was finally captured, brought in, and turns out it was another Caucasian male. So it wasn't a gang, it wasn't a person of color, it was another Caucasian. So forget the political party, forget the party line. This is someone who simply didn't agree with his message, and many didn't agree. But this person decided to take his life. And that's where it becomes dangerous here. It's almost, a coercion of ideas and values or your opinion on someone else. And if you don't like it, you're going to take their life. And that is dangerous. But at what point do we, as, human beings, dial back the rhetoric and dial back the anger and the aggression in it? No one should be forced to believe one idea or have one opinion over the other. No one. And I can say I've been on YouTube 5 years. Not one time have I allowed, my platform to crash into a wall because there's this fight over politics. At the end of the day, these leaders are not directly paying my bills. And the politics do not buy my groceries. Money does. So we can't get to a point where we can have disagreements, but still be realistic on what is the main goal and what do we want resolved. And we allow this violence to continue to grow. People have to watch their backs, regardless of what political party you align yourself with. You'll have to watch your back when you go to the store, when you out in speaking events. I mean, you have to watch your back now, because you never know who's going to be there. So, I'm glad she brought that up, because that's just a deeper issue that, someone with a platform like she has can address. And I hope she does. This is an opportunity for these, larger content creators, not just on YouTube, but across social media, to help pull back the anger and the aggression of it, and still encourage free speech and expression, but have more responsibility in helping to kind of pull people out of this hole we're digging ourselves into, as citizens, as human race, in feeling like we have to take someone's life because they have one political stance and we have another. It's going to take people to have to be the example and help dial that back. And she has 4.5 million subscribers. So hopefully she does, moving forward, reiterate, you guys, everyone has the right to their opinion. It's not worthy of someone taking someone's life. And he did not have to lose his life over that. He just didn't. So, all right, I'm going to get back to it.
He was inside of the gas station, and I'm sitting in the car, and I see this person, his phone is sitting in the car, and the messages are lighting up on the screen, and this individual saying, I don't want to do this event with that new girl you hired. Like, I don't want to share the stage with her, essentially. Just mean-spirited, no reason. I'm bigger than her. I should do this by myself. And then if she wants to come on and be an auxiliary, that's fine. But I don't want to share the stage with her, this newbie. I remember Charlie gets in the car, and he he looks at the message and he looks at me and he knows I've looked at the message. I saw it. I'm like, Charlie, I said, I have no idea like where this is going. Obviously, I understand that the sensible you doesn't want to lose this person on the ticket, that this means a lot to you and you've worked hard on it, but you're going to have to learn that you have to make the right decision and not the easy decision. And this is only going to work if we keep making the right decisions, you know? And I could just see the struggle within him. And then he did the right thing. He said, okay, if you don't want to do this event with this newbie Candace, then we're not going to do the event. And Candace and I will do it alone. And we did. We went at it alone. Actually, I think for that particular event, Dave Rubin hopped on and the rest was future. For 2 years straight, Charlie and I flew around the world together on very little sleep. We were always exhausted. I'm not kidding. We took hundreds of flights together. We slept in the crappiest hotel rooms. I mean, walls so paper thin. You just hear everything. And when you're in that capacity with someone 2 years straight, just traveling nonstop, you really get to know them. You really see them in every condition. You start bickering like an old married couple. Charlie, this is not how you pack a suitcase. I say to him, Charlie, you can't just like put your dirty running shoes on top of your clean shirts. Okay. You just can't do that. Charlie, you need to eat something. Okay. You're running on fumes. You got to eat something. And this is not a full meal. Back, forth. Charlie, you got to buy yourself some suits that fit. That conversation, I was like, Charlie, okay, I get it. You're like boy wonder. You got to buy some suits that fit. I wasn't the only one that was hammering him on that. It was also Don Jr. And eventually him, and I think it was actually him and Eric. They're like, Charlie, I know you're very frugal. We know that you're very aware that your salary comes from donors. He always wanted to be a really good steward of their capital. But eventually Don and Eric got him a gift certificate, I think it was for his birthday, to a fancy suit place to go get fitted. And the rest is future, right? It is so important for me to make sure that you guys understand how absolutely.
Yeah, she is fighting tears right now. I mean, every time she looks upward, you can see her just kind of rolling her eyes upward, looking upward. She is fighting tears. So it is definitely refreshing to just see a whole different side of her. And for her to just talk on something that, we can all relate to. It's just establishing a friendship with someone. That's just refreshing to see from her. So
absolutely hilarious Charlie was. Charlie was hilarious. Okay. He did not take himself too seriously. He was so good at doing imitations and accents. Any imitation, any accent, he was just on the money. And all we did was laugh. It's all you can do and laugh. People were just so crazy all the time. I was reading through the chat today. I was just laughing with just tears in my eyes, thinking of the many road trips that we took, so many hours spent just talking trash to one another, making fun of one another. One of the best moments that I can think of, and there's so many to choose from, was we were driving through Colorado and I put on a Kanye song, on my playlist. And Charlie goes, is this Jay-Z? I almost made him pull over the vehicle. I was like, are you kidding me? Okay, I understand that you don't do culture, but like, come on. You don't know the difference between Jay-Z and Kanye. And he didn't. And I explained to him the difference. I was like, okay, no, you got to get into some Kanye West music. Next thing you know, Charlie's really getting into some Kanye West music. He's running 10 miles a day. He got really into running. And he's texting me about how great it is. Like there's this text, Charlie. He's like, yes, it's my new favorite song. And he just loved it. Kanye's Power kind of became our theme song for the tour. I have no idea why, but that was our hype song before we went on stage. So you can only imagine when just a couple of months later, we've been listening to Kanye's old albums on repeat. Suddenly Kanye West tweets, I love the way Candace Owens thinks. The excitement. Okay, we were certain that we had manifested it. We were 100%, we manifested this by listening to Power on repeat. Actually, I found a clip of us backstage on that day when that tweet happened. And we were doing what I used to refer to as like the Charlie dance. Here it is. You don't understand like the divinity of him tweeting that. Like I'm living in that Charlie dance. Essentially, there's something meaning to it. The era of Kanye. I can't even explain it because you really did have to be Kirk. He says it's going to be the power couple of the century. I need to continue to pray about it. As her last name's dumb, she literally needs you to propose. It's way too complicated. He said, I'm going to tell her it sounds like a sneeze. It's horrible. And then I wrote, marry me. It's a logistics thing. That's just who we were. Always making fun and always wanting to know what the plan was. And obviously it worked, you guys. It worked. Our plan worked. We broke Erica down. First came the name shame, then came the wedding, and then came the children. Charlie really loved Erica from the time reading through the text today.
Yeah, two kids.
Family. He really did. And I just want to say that Charlie and I, because I think this is important, never for a single minute, ever did Charlie and I stop being friends. Even when the world demanded that from both of us, our relationship was real. We were brother and sister. We were fortified. Our relationship was forged in fire, the fire of politics. I knew him. Tears, I knew Lord. Charlie, the real Charlie. And Charlie knew the real Candace, and people knew I didn't like a lot of people in politics. didn't like a lot of people calling me and doing the political dance. Of course, people guessed it correctly when they said, oh, the person who probably was the intermediary when Trump called about Brigitte was Charlie Kirk. Of course it was Charlie. They would never send anybody else to call me with anything because they knew that Charlie was a brother to me. And there was so many things that were said that were wrong, and we laughed at how wrong it was when people thought that when I had made up my mind about Israel, that Charlie and me fell apart. Nope, never, not for a second. I said, it's the easiest decision ever because Charlie knew who I was and I knew who he was. I said, Charlie, this is where I'm at and there's no room for movement. And you tell your whoever that needs to hear it, whatever you need to tell them, because we're always going to be brothers and sisters, we're always going to be brother and sister. And we would talk about things and debate things behind the scenes. And I think my perspective was as it's been throughout our relationship. You might not get it now, Charlie, but you will. I'm only a few years older than you, but I think you're gonna see things my way. And I think
tears.
Yeah, in the end, Charlie was going through a spiritual transformation. I don't think it. I know it. He was going through a lot, and there was a lot of pressure. And it's hard for me to watch the people who were pressuring him, I don't know, just say the things that they're saying. There's something about it that just feels really fake. Feels really fake to me. And they would have allowed him to lose and wanted him to lose everything for changing or even slightly modifying an opinion. And then to see them doing what they're doing today, it's hurtful to me. It's very hurtful to me. But I don't want today to be about anything other than you guys knowing that Charlie really was an amazing person. He was like, we were really close. And he was my best friend and my brother. And I will never unsee the footage of what I saw, the violence of it. I pray for the people who took any pleasure in that. There's not a single person in the world that I would wish that on. And least of all, someone with a heart like Charlie's. He loved his family, he loved his wife, he loved his country. And he didn't deserve that ending. He's really young. But I know that we will carry the torch. I will never allow the memory of Charlie to be forgotten, obviously, because there is no Candace without Charlie. We came up in politics together. And so I don't know what else to say, guys, other than I'm in a lot of pain right now. And I love you, Charlie. And, I'll see you when I'll see you. I love you very much. Thank you, guys.
I think this is that is exactly what I think people needed to see and hear from her. Just the humanity side of this. He was a husband and a father, and she considered him to be a brother and a friend. So that footage was pretty gruesome. And it's just like I said, if the fact that she even herself said, we had our differences, we had our arguments, but it didn't change the status of their friendship, their relationship, because they knew each other. And hopefully that's something that can resonate. We might be perfect strangers, but our differences and opinions should not lead to someone taking someone's life at all. And ironically, on the same day he was killed, there was a school shooting. It's like, we can't lose our humanity in this. I understand it. I didn't follow Charlie Kirk. I didn't. I'm not the overly political person. I don't talk about politics like that on my channel. I really don't even watch the news. So the content that I'm seeing is mixed. You have some, I think it just depends on whether you are more conservative or, Republican or Democrat or, but I've seen people on both sides, say this was not worth him losing his life over. There are some saying the opposite, but no, that young man didn't have to take his life. The shooter did not have to take his life. And to think that it was planned out, it was one bullet and that's it. It is you know, it's crazy because now the shooter is going to be charged. I'm sure they're going to go for capital murder, capital felony murder, and they will be seeking the death penalty. And if the jury ends up in the end deciding that he should be put to death, now you're talking about a 22-year-old being put to death over taking the life of a 31-year-old who was a dad and a husband. At some point, this has to be dialed back. So that was the bulk of the video that I wanted to kind of highlight. And you guys, the link will be in the description for you guys to watch the full video. I do encourage those to watch it. I know I personally left a couple comments on her videos asking if she was going to make a statement. And considering how close they were, I understand that she, just needed some time. So when you guys are done watching this video, make sure you check out the full video and hit the like button on this video and share the content if you can. We're growing. Subscribe. Consider becoming a member and check out the description as well. We have a partnership with Dr. Squatch to support the channel. You can purchase the products tagged in the video. I do receive a commission, but it goes back to the expenses of the channel to continue to make great content for you all. And I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. And there is more videos to come. And until the next one, Lady Luck Club out. Have a good one.